You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Man, we are here once again. And man, today, if you don't know how to sell a book or publish a book, well, this is your lucky day because we have someone on the show. Man, they're not a stranger to entrepreneurship, but they are an expert in helping people just get the story out, be their own boss, and do it the right way. So if you're looking for a formula to kind of use for inspiration, man, you're in the right time right now. Listen to this episode. We are talking to Fortune today. He has an amazing book that you need to go out and get. Is on his website. It's the 4hourbook.com. He breaks everything down. So it's like literally no excuses. It's basically like you're stalling or procrastinating. So it's the same thing, same concept. So man, Fortune, thanks for taking time in your schedule. I know you're busy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. I appreciate the opportunity. Get on here on the show, man. I saw all these people. I was like, oh, I need to be one of them.
Man, you already in the process of doing that, man. And I appreciate that, man. I always tell people keep it short real quick, but everything I'm doing that you see on my website is literally everything that you're doing with helping people write the book, because it's really just about relationships and stories, man, at the end of the day. So kind of give the audience a little background of you, man. What inspired you to write this book? And man, just kind of give us the secret sauce.
Excellent. So the origins of this book is it was out of being fed up, right? I would sit down with people after I'd already published a couple books, and people would ask me, what did I do? How to write a book? They're like this daunting task, right? People think about writing a book, like, oh my God, I can never do that. But they all want to. So I would sit down with people and let them pick my brain. I no longer let people pick my brain. But they want to pick my brain about how to write a book, and I give them all the tea, man. I give them all the information on how to get it done. And then they would do nothing with it. Now, I've spent thousands of dollars learning how to be a better storyteller and how to write and how to get these things published. And they weren't doing anything with it with that free time I was giving them. So I said, no more. I ain't doing that no more. You're going to have to pay for this time to talk about these books. So we can talk about all types of other stuff. But when it comes to that, like, no more, man. That was a waste of my time. So I decided to produce this book, and I did it differently. I decided I wanted to try this theory of how can I turn what I'm speaking into a book, because I wanted to eliminate the idea that people couldn't write. They don't write well. So I went from creating a workshop that I sold. I recorded that workshop, turned that recording chopped it up into a mini course, my initial course. And then I took the audio recording of that, transcribed it, and made it the first version of the book. Of course, I went in there and cleaned it all up and then started selling that book. Then used that actual outline before I even finished the book. While I was still editing and all that stuff, getting the cover done and all that, I used the outline of the book to start selling my coaching and consulting services for how to write a book. So just from that one workshop, proved all these different things about how the outline from a book can not only become a whole business, but also you don't have to be a great writer in order to write a great book.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Off with a bar right there for you.
Nah, you good, because a lot of people get hung up on this publishing. Like, that's a scary word in itself, because everybody just wants to, do the book tour and do the easier things. Yeah, but when it comes to, going to practice and win the regular playoff season before you go to Super Bowl, it just takes a little bit more time for you to kind of get those wrinkles out and find out the process, because that's what it really is at the end of the day, right? It's a process. So explain to our listeners, it's going to be a great tease because they got go support and go to 4hourbook.com. But give us a little teaser of how you kind of break down those processes.
Oh, excellent. If you're going to grab your notes here real quickly. I'm going to give you an acronym to remember how to do this. I don't have time, obviously, to give all the details, but to tell you what my process looks like. I call it a signature book. Okay, a signature book. And each letter obviously stands for a word. The S is a setup. So from the very beginning, you need to decide if you're going to write this book. Because a lot of people even write books and then never publish. Like you said, that publish is a big thing. So are you committed to not only writing the book, but actually publishing that book? I've had several authors that I've actually had to hit the publish button for them because they couldn't do it for themselves, right?
Right.
The I stands for intent. And here's another phrase for you. You got to secure the bag. And I know your listeners understand what that means. You need to secure the bag because you want to write this down. Think profit first. 3 words. If you don't remember anything else, think profit first. What is this book going to do for you? You need to know that from the beginning. And that's what I mean from the beginning. And that's what I mean by securing the bag, because the definition of profit is a benefit, an advantage, or a gain. I just threw another acronym in there. Secure the bag means to secure the benefit, advantage, or gain for you by writing this book. You need to know what that is up front. Then we go into G is a gather, which is gathering all the information that you need to write this book. It means you're doing your research, finding out what the audience needs. Now you know what you're going to get from the book. Now you need to find out what they need so you can give them what they need so you can get what you want. Okay, so the G is for gather. N is to narrow down. So you take all the information and turn into one defined idea. You're speaking to one person about one idea. Okay, one person about one idea. You're not writing for everyone. One idea for one person. You're going to solve that problem. Okay, the A stands for author. And I have a whole 4-step process for how you call it the 4-brain strategy, or help people turn their outline into questions, because your brain does not like open loops. In fact, it's a psychological process. Your brain does not like questions just to be left out there. So if you can turn your outline into a question and you ask yourself questions, you can write your book very, very quickly. That's A for author. T is for a touch-up. The touch-up is all the editing. You don't need to be a great editor. You don't need to be that. You don't have to be great to write a great book. You don't have to be a great writer. You need to know some great editors. You get the ideas. See, the author is the person who has the great ideas. The writer is the one who turns those ideas into the written word. You just need to be an author, of which means you need to have your own ideas, your own stories. You give it to an editor who then writes the book for you. Okay? Big great. The touch up is about editing. The U is about making it unique, and that's about covers and formatting and all that other type stuff. Again, let somebody who loves doing that do that. R is about reviews. Got people get the book out to people so they can give your feedback. The E is exhibit. This is when you put your book on play. Put it on exhibition. You put it out there on your own sales pages. Put it out there on. Definitely need to put it out there on Kindle, unless you hate Kindle. But you put it out there on Kindle at least because 75 or Amazon, I should say, 75% plus books, physical and digital, are sold on Amazon. Why not have the book out there? Then the last one is book, and that's how you turn about getting booked on stages, getting booked on podcasts, getting people on your books. So clients are using the book to get people on your books. So how do you turn this into multiple products? That is the signature book formula.
Listen, I'm Focus Radio talking to Fortune, and go to his website, 4hourbook.com. You did this because you're helping people, and it's not like you snapped your fingers one day and you had this magic pill. Oh my God, like this is easy. No, you had to work this out. You figure out the flaws, and now you put this together as a presentation to kind of show people the ropes. Real quick, why is it so important for people to understand the concept that there's no such thing as abracadabra, I'm rich now and I'm famous and I got, all these people loving my book and all these reviews? Why is it so harmful to lose sight of the moment of what I must be doing today?
Oh, absolutely. For myself, I'm going to speak from my personal experience here as far as having an ability to learn very quickly and being blessed with a lot of skills. I call it the Barmus effect. I went to college, Howard University, whoa, HU, on a full athletic scholarship for playing baseball. Now, I got there, and when I graduated, I had an opportunity to go play pro ball for the Montreal Expos. Now, I decided to go be a government accountant. That's a whole nother situation. But my point being, I had the athletic skills to do this. However, there was another guy, before I got to college, I played on a team called the Indiana Bulls. On the Indiana Bulls, I traveled all around the country playing some of the best players in the country. A lot of the players went up against ended up being in the league. Players on my team ended up being on the league, including Clint Barmas. Clint Barmas did not start in front of me. However, here I am looking at the World Series not too long ago, and Clint Barmas is playing second base for the Colorado Rockies, winning the World Series. And I'm like, how did he get there? How did that happen? And what happened was he didn't go to a D1 school like I did. He worked his butt off for an opportunity that he had and made it sure that he did what he needed to do to get where he wanted to go. And that is the thing that I have continued to work on for myself. Because skills have come so easily to me, I had to constantly remember someone else who is not as talented as me is going to pass me if I don't continue to work my butt off and go after what I want, pushing through the failures, pushing through those limiting beliefs. So I was just looking at this again today, a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K, Carol Dweck. And the idea here is that the fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. The fixed mindset is a lot of people believe that you are given a certain amount of talent and a certain amount of skill, and that's it. So now you can give excuses for why I do not want to push myself, why I don't want to go outside of my comfort zone to go after things, why when I hit failure, I say, ooh, I knew that was supposed to happen anyway because I'm only so smart, or I'm only so talented, I'm only so tall, I'm only so old, whatever the excuse may be, and they withdraw back into the comfort zone. The growth mindset is about learning, knowing that when I hit up against a failure, that I'm going to learn what it takes to go past that failure, to expand my comfort zone and go into another level of success, to achieve that next level. That is what I have continued to pursue for the majority of my adulthood. I no longer rest on my laurels as I did in my teenage years, my early 20s. I have to grow. And part of that also is because as a recovering addict, coming up on 8 years clean and sober at this point, I had to come back and rebuild myself from all the limiting beliefs and all the stigma associated with being an ex-con drug addict. No matter how I started, people looked at me and viewed me as a certain thing, or so I thought, until I started proving them wrong by becoming this great speaker, becoming this author, getting my master's degree since being released, now working on my PhD since being released. That is that growth mindset. I'm not who I was. I can always become.
I think that's a great point, because having that idea, okay, I get up today, what can I do to make today better than yesterday? Mm-hmm. And we're all human. We all slack off because that's just human nature. No one's perfect. No one's going to be just consistently just having all these perfect wins. No, there's going to be times where we slow down, we get tired or frustrated or whatever the situation may be. But I like the key that you're talking about, like rebuilding yourself. And I think that's a practice that we have to like keep working at. It's not like we reach a certain point in our life where it's like, okay, I'm done. That was hard. I had enough. Next 20, 30 years of my life, I don't have to rebuild myself anymore. When you have that kind of mindset and you're starting to get booked on these shows and talk about your book and your services and stuff, how do you keep yourself motivated when life happens and you get in that funk and you only got two choices? You keep going or you start plateauing? Excellent question.
And it feeds right into this idea for me of high performance, why I studied high performance, why I went to school to learn about psychology of high performance. How do I help people do the things that they say they want to do? I mean, it's natural, as you spoke about, for us to get to a certain point and be like, I'm good. I don't know if I really want to work that hard anymore. But there's certain people who want to continue pushing forward. So what is it that drives them to do that? And I think that's the question that you're asking me. And for me, what I found is the idea of a main thing. And I talk about this, you need to have your main thing. Keep the main thing, and your main thing will no longer be your main thing, right?
Oh, that's good.
And what do I mean by main thing? And I do mean THANG, main thing, is this. What is, some people call it a North Star. People call it a passion. Some people call it a purpose. I like to call your main thing a personal mission. See, I absolutely believe that God cannot steer a parked car. So I need to go out here and do what I believe in my personal mission, and God's going to continue bringing people into my life to help guide me towards that personal mission. And because I have that personal mission in mind, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than who I am, that I am getting up to serve someone that has been serving my whole life. If I believe God has something in store for me, and I get up to try to serve that mission, and every day, or at least I'm more aware of the miracles, the, what we want to call these coincidences, which is just thrown out there for a word. I don't believe in coincidences. God ain't that lazy. So when these opportunities come to me, it's because I'm moving on purpose. I'm moving towards a personal mission. And that motivates me to get out of bed. I remember E.T., Eric Thomas, talked about he doesn't have an alarm clock because his passion, like what he's trying to do in his life, is his alarm clock. He wakes up out of bed ready to go. If you do not have that, it doesn't mean that you do not have it in you. It just means you haven't found it yet. You haven't done enough yet. You haven't done enough work for you to see clearly what it is. Keep moving forward, and one day, as long as you're on mission, you will get steered and guided to where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing in this life, at least for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows how long it may be, and shift. Who knows? But at least moving, God will guide you. God cannot steer a parked car. Get moving.
If you start getting comfortable to the point where you don't move anymore, you have to ask yourself, well, how much longer am I preventing myself to reach that next level that I want to reach in my life? You know, how many more people are going to just kind of pass me by because I'm losing those opportunities to build on the next stage? You know,
Absolutely.
like it's a different season, but it's sometimes easy to read last week's old news. Mm-hmm. And if we're not careful, we just go in that cycle of just like reading old news, and that's all we do read. We don't do anything that creates highlights. We're stuck in a negative environment that we don't have to be in if we just choose to leave.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, and on that tone, if I may speak to that, I do believe in what I call power banks, creating power banks. Now, what I mean by this power banks is, as someone that knows that life's going to show up, right? And going to it may challenge me, whatever you want to say. I don't believe God puts us through a bunch of challenges. He just allows life to happen. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just same way, I don't think my father put me in challenges. He allowed life to happen for me to grow through that. If my physical father would do that for me, why would I think my spiritual father would do the same for me? Right. And that same token, when I come up against a challenge, and if I don't have a power bank that I can look back into, now power bank is like memories, thoughts, ideas that build my own self-confidence, meaning opportunities that are times that I have done what seem like the impossible, sometimes where I have overcome. They may be small victories, they may be large victories, and in between. But if I have that to go reflect upon, now I have a power bank that I'm like get powered up, used to be like, all right, I can push through today, and not just rest on it and just replay them in my mind, and like, oh, I used to do that. I used to be able to do that. And being that person who doesn't think they can go anymore. They've reached their limits. Not true. But uses that as fuel to move towards the next level. I think there's a difference and there's a balance there where I need to have it to grow, to continue growing forward, because confidence, you build up confidence by doing by successes. So the more I achieve, small or otherwise, the more confidence I have in myself. And I forget those things. Not only do I forget, not become grateful for those opportunities and appreciative of the opportunities that I have, but I also forget my own power.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that system because, like I said, and that's really what it is at the end of the day. You have to learn how to create systems that are going to propel you forward and kind of identify the broken systems that are holding you back. Because until you can like cut the ties on those bad habits or old ways of thinking, it'll almost be your blinders, if you will, as far as like new opportunities of growth and new relationships and new clients, whatever situation me in life, you can have those blinders on you that it's like, man, if you just take those off and stop doing the old ways, like they say, you're trying to do something the same and then you're gonna get different results, you're insane, because there's just no way. You have to change something, and it's usually with you, it's not with anybody else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a saying, and I cannot remember who said it right now, that it says the unexamined life is not worth living.
Mm.
And so the way that comes to me is what you track makes an impact. You got to write that down.
That's good.
What you track makes an impact. What am I saying, Fortune? What are you saying, Fortune? What I'm saying is this: the things that I actually pay attention to and I write down and take notice of are the things that I are impacting my life. Because we can go all types of science and spirituality with this.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that I take note of, I am by default going to change my life by that. So if I want to lose weight or reduce my weight, however words you want to use best for you, then I start tracking my weight and I'm going to see how that impacts my life. Now,
That's
what
good.
I do with that information is up to me, right? And what kind of results I get. If I want to change any area of my life, I start tracking the key performance indicators, start tracking the key things that make a change in that area. And now I can make the proper adjustments to my behavior. And by doing that, I change my belief systems. And by changing my belief system, I also start changing my attitude. And by changing all three of those, my attitudes, my beliefs, and my commitments, I change my mindsets and improve my mindset in the area. And that mindset now becomes the guiding principles on how to live my life. By default, I start becoming a communicator, as you are, Shemaiah. You keep doing things and tracking what's my growth? Who am I connected to with this week? Who's been on my podcast? Who can I connect with over here? How do I improve my show? Those things you're tracking now improves your communication skills through the radio show. And by default, you become a radio show host. They can't take it away from you. You're doing all those things. What you track makes an impact. What are you doing that's going to impact your life? How are you tracking that?
I appreciate you using my show as an example, because I tell people all the time in the green room or after the show, like, yeah, man, my show was a process. It started in 2017 at a local barbershop. And the founder of that barbershop had faith in me. And he said he should give it a shot. And he was on my first ever episode. And when you compare that to the shows I'm doing today, in 2023, the growth is tremendous, but it plays to everything you're talking about right now. You have to track something in order for you to even have a target to pick. And I think the reason why sometimes we don't have a target to pick is because, what I kind of alluded to earlier, we are still tying ourselves to old thoughts and old ways of living. And until you can break free from those old ways of thinking and living, you can never choose a actual healthy target that's going to lead you to the next level in your life. And man, I don't know what time went. It's like, what the heck? I feel like we just started 5 seconds ago, but real quick, you are not just the creator of the signature book formula. You are also the founder of No Doubt Nation. Yes, sir. And you and your followers, y'all have a mantra: make life happen every day.
Every day.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that comes about. It was a blessing God had put on my heart. No doubt, just blessings. In fact, my first book is called Unlimited Potential: How to Stop Living with Fear, Doubt, and Uncertainty. See, we're only going to do the things that we believe we can do. And the opposite of that belief is typically doubt. I doubt I can do that. You have some reservations about your abilities or skills. And because of that, you don't take that action. So how do we start living a life with no doubt? Doesn't mean being stupid, but just stop doubting yourself in every area. So if I help you remove the doubt, now you can just live a life of just blessings, because you're going to get blessed from that actions. Again, it goes back to the idea of God can't steer a parked car. When you start living your life with no doubt, going out and taking that action, making life happen every day, blessings are going to come your way. You got to get up and go get out. What are they saying? Okay, so you got to get up, get out, and get some.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I like that, man. And if you listen right now, you need to go take action yourself and at least go to 4hourbook.com and click around. What would you like to say to those out there who are ready to make that jump? What would you say to them to encourage them throughout the process?
Excellent. I had a mentor that said, don't leave the scene of a good idea without taking action. That's what you've been saying. You keep saying, Shamak, you're reminding them. And here's what I would say to you. If you have a story you believe is going to transform lives, because I don't work with people who just have a great story. Every person on God's earth, you're a child of God, you have a great story, period. But if you have a great story and you want to do something with that to transform someone's life, I want to transform 1 million lives with my author's book. So if you have a transformative story and you want to turn that into a book that's going to help other people transform their lives, it's time for you to go ahead and take action on that. Whether you go to my book, 4hourbook.com, and grab that book right there and start working on your own book. Whether that's you get on YouTube and just start doing as I did years ago and start just grabbing all the YouTube videos. And then before I figured out that I needed to pay somebody to help me figure out the rest of it. Or if you just go to drorlandofortune.com/story formula. Go grab that free download and start working on how to tell your story. It's a free download there to tell you how to break down how to tell your story, create your content. Anything you want to do, it's all in there. It's my gift to you for coming to listen to the show here, having this conversation with me, Shemaiah and myself. Go ahead and grab that. Get up and tell your story. And I'm gonna say this this is the one thing that changed my life when I started telling my story. And I'm gonna share this with Shemaiah. I had written my book in the end of 2015 or 2014, excuse me, when I had been out for about 60 days. I had written this book, typed it all out. It's like 20 pages of glory. Super excited about it. Shemaiah, I did nothing with it. For about 18 months, I did nothing with that. I was scared about what people would think about me. And well, why would they listen to me? I'm an ex-con. I'm a drug addict. Why would they even read my book? No reason for me to put it out there. But I ran into a woman named Cashel Kelly. She was a spiritual business coach, and she was up there on the stage talking about God didn't give you a dream for you to put it on layaway. I was like, ooh, oh, that's good. I need to speak to this woman. Right. I get on a call with her and start telling her about how my spine had been severed in half, but yet I'm still walking. About how I'm a recovering drug addict, but I've been clean through the grace of God. About being an ex-con, but yet I'm going through doing these different other things to grow my life and become better. About being a single father, like all these things that I was going through. And I told her about one of them being productivity. She was like, catch this, stop taking God's glory and tell his story. She challenged me to go out there and start telling his story. It's not my story to keep to myself if it's supposed to transform my life. It's my job to go out and tell his story, which is my testimony. And through that transforms lives. Stop being selfish if you know you have a story to change somebody's life. Stop being selfish if you know your words can impact someone for the better. Stop being selfish. If God has put it on your heart to go do something with what he's done for you in your life and you're keeping it to yourself, I challenge you to stop taking God's glory and go tell his story.
That's good, man. We're talking fortune. Go to his website. It's easy. It's 4hourbook.com. And one thing I'll add is believe, man. Believe in yourself. I know that sounds corny sometimes, but who doesn't? If you stop believing in yourself, then you're proving everyone else point who doesn't believe in you. But it's the magic when you start believing in yourself. Because I feel like it's funny that we talk about this, because I was talking to someone earlier today. I said, man, sometimes I feel like life is like a crossroad, but I feel like it's a crossroad throughout the day. And you have to make a decision. And that's all that matters. You have to make a decision. But sometimes we find ourselves at crossroads and we want to be indecisive. Mm-hmm. And that's just as worse as making the wrong decision. That's when regret comes in and life will pass by and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this, but you can't blame no one but yourself. So, man, I didn't want to go too deep into that. Kind of went there, but I like
you gotta let it out, man. If you don't let it out, it gives you gas, man. Gotta let that stuff out.
Yeah, I just had a preaching there moments ago about, tell the story. I just feel like someone need to hear that. So, man, last words for you. When you look at this still kind of new year, 2023, what's some short-term goal that you're hoping to take your brand to the next level?
The main goal for this year was to get on at least 50 podcasts for this year. I want to see what this is about. I wanted to take this to a whole nother, like, there's no more hiding. I wasn't hiding before, but this is a whole nother level of like, I'm in front of your audience and your audience and your audience. 50 podcasts interviews is my goal. Hopefully get to 100, who knows, but at least 50 podcast interviews for this year and see what that does for my business as I continue to, because here's the thing, every time I get on a podcast, I got to make sure my website is up, everything is up to date, everything, because who knows which podcast is going to be the one that pops off, or you know what I'm saying, where it hits that threshold, or it just, that client comes from that one, maybe one person out of the 1,000 or so people listen to it and it's like, ooh, that's the one. And my website wasn't right.
Man, you spitting bars. I'm going to have you back on, man, because I feel like you got a lot of topics you can cover, man. So, man, once again, go to Fortune's website. It's real easy, real simple. It's 4hourbook.com and check out what he does with Live Without Doubt, that whole movement that you're doing. I'm going to have to check that out personally myself because I was kind of inspired, just kind of learning more about it. So, man, thank you for taking time in your schedule and talking to Focus Radio.
Yes, sir. God bless.